The biggest struggle for me in that time was the weight of that responsibility.
You're in such turmoil yourself. Like, how do you keep loving this child? How do you keep bringing them through? And like, you can't do it alone.
It is a two-way street. I mean, it is you as a person who has the need for connection, reaching out, but then it is also other people recognizing, being aware of, building that bridge of relationship.
I cannot be a mom and a dad. That I can only be a mom.
When it comes to our responses as congregations and Christians to single moms, and I think the ladies answered really well, but Jesus only did what the Father told him to do, and he only connected with the people. And so if our responsibility should be, hey Lord, lead us, and how can we look after the single ladies and maybe even the widows in our lives, that it's not a weird thing. Like, give us insights and discernment on how we can meet their needs.
And ask.
Them. And don't be weird about it.
And you need things to be done, but he wants our first response to be to go to him, because there is grace that he gives us. And so I think it's that tension of, firstly, what do I need help with? And is this something that actually I need to go to the Lord with and I need to receive the grace? Or is it a thing of actually, no, you need to reach out and you need to see the church being family to you? What is it that the Lord wants me to go to him to? And what are the things that actually it's beneficial for you to ask for help, and then to actually see the church being the church?
You are going to make mistakes, but we've brought our children up that they have to rely on the Lord.
Welcome to Dying to Live, a weekly podcast where we discuss theology, culture, and what it means to do life together. So let's get going with today's episode. And it's great to have you along on this podcast. Hey, Nadine.
Hey, Wayne. How are you doing?
That's a different intro, isn't it? We've got to be careful. Not? We don't use the same words for every podcast because our listeners are very, very sharp and they pick up on these things. So I'm Wayne Turner, and Nadine is my very, very... Can we say lovely again?
I knew you were going to say it today. I just knew it.
We haven't said it for
just
many,
for variety.
Absolutely. Right. So on the podcast, we've got some new guests. And,
lovely guests as well.
Yes, and one not so
very
lovely.
Hey,
older guest.
More mature, spicy guest.
Can you say more mature rather than older? That might
handsome.
Handsome.
I think the judge is going to hit a gavel there. Yeah. Right. So before we get into the podcast, we just like to remind you that in order for this podcast to spread far and wide and get as many people blessed and ministered to, we want you to like, comment,
share.
What are all the things?
Share on your WhatsApp status, share on your Insta, Facebook status. What are the other things we can do? Tell people about it.
You can make a telephone call. If you're not high tech, make a telephone call. Right. So,
but Wayne, I do want to add, this topic in particular is one that's actually been requested by multiple times. So please share testimonies. But even if there are specific topics that you want to hear about, let us know. That's the whole point of the podcast, is to speak about things that are relevant to everyday life.
And you can send it to email address podcast@joshgen.org.za.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Our producer is shouting from the background there. Right, so the big subject is around single moms.
Sorry. And Brett. Single moms and Brett.
Yeah, I'm not a single mom, just in case.
I'm terribly sorry. I just looked across at Brett and he just smiled back. Right, well, Brett's going to add a contribution to it, but we're so happy to have the two ladies in the studio, and you can introduce yourselves.
Newbies, eh?
Yes, my name's Julie Dalal, and I am in JoshGen. I'm one of the OGs, one of the originals. So what a privilege to be here and do this. It's been
welcome, Jules.
Journey.
Yeah, we've wanted you on many times, but Julie's traveling so much that now I'm here. Finally we have you here in person, in flesh.
And then.
Hi, my name is Natalie. I'm a single mom to two beautiful daughters and now a son-in-law. So I wouldn't say, he's kind of family. Well, he is family, sorry. But my oldest daughter is Rachel. Rachel's 25 and she's married to Brad. And then I've got my youngest daughter, Leah. Leah's 21 and she's just finished culinary school, and we're all serving within JoshGen, which is incredible and such a privilege.
So after the two lovely roses, we have Brett.
Am I the thorn?
Tell us something
In
we
the
don't
roses.
know about Brett. Tell us something we don't know about Brett.
Don't know about me. Oh, I don't want to get into trouble.
Why not?
You better think fast.
What's Brett's favorite meal? Let's make it easy.
Any food.
Death row meal. If you had to pick a meal for death row meal.
I'm into barbecue at the moment.
Oh, cool.
So actually, our producer Jazz was over last night to have smoked a piece of meat like this size for like 10 to 12 hours.
What is a barbecue?
A barbecue is like a big piece of meat. When you
braai.
smoke it, not a braai,
Not a
barbecue,
braai.
American barbecue. So you smoke the meat for long periods of time, and you put it on a roll with cold slaw. And what else do we have, Jazz? We had and baked beans and stuff. It was awesome. So that right now,
It's
very American.
Now getting hungry.
Yeah. So that's my favorite meal at this moment.
Good.
Right.
It's good.
Thank you for saving me there.
Well, that was a very interesting introduction to the podcast. Thanks, guys. Let's get on to the subject, which is a big one.
It's always a big one. Single mums. It's a big one. So, let me do my intro. When I was preparing for this one, I thought of Jonathan Stanfield, who's the lead elder of one of our 412 partnering churches. And he always says, church isn't like family. Church is family. And I love that. And I think a big part of family, increasingly big part of family is single mums. Big part and yet often overlooked part. So today we want to speak about some of the challenges that single mums face that are unique to them, really with a view to equipping the rest of us, the body. How can we come alongside to love, to support and care for single mums who are a very important and valuable part of our families?
Because we always have our own ideas from very good hearts how we should include single moms and what we should do. But we had a podcast a couple of years back before Christmas, how to include singles. And so often we don't know how. And those singles who shared on the podcast, so they gave us such valuable insight. And I think you guys can do exactly the same thing. Give ordinary saints, marrieds, how do we help? How do we support? How do we make ourselves the saints that want to be inclusive?
So Nats, you've already shared a little bit of your single mum context. Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit of your story?
Yeah, so I just have one son. He's now 37, but have been a single mom since he was 2 years old. So it's been a long journey. I've never, haven't dated, I haven't married again. So the journey has really been one of being alone. And it was quite hard because I don't think I maybe wanted to have children originally. And then, you have a child and you realize how full your life is, and you never expect that you're going to have to do this alone. Like you can't imagine what it's going to be like. And it was right from the beginning. It felt so unnatural almost to have to be like a single mom, to do this thing on my own.
So just clarify again, you said that you were basically single mumming him since he was?
2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah, 2 years.
Sure.
So through the thick and the thin of it.
Yeah. And you have grandchildren.
Yes, and I have a beautiful daughter-in-law who is really like my own daughter. She's amazing. And I have 5 granddaughters.
Wow.
So my return was phenomenal. 1 son and 5 granddaughters. And honestly, I see the hand of the Lord like in this, because my life is so full. Like imagine if I hadn't had him. I often think, what would it look like? It's so beautiful that I have this whole family, actually. I call them my kids. They all feel like my kids, all of them from the oldest to the littlest.
Now, Natalie, there's no manual, as far as I know, for being a single mom. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
It's learning on the go. How did you find, from an early age, from what age were you?
So I was, so just a bit of backstory. I fell pregnant when I was 19, and I wasn't married when I fell pregnant. And all I remember thinking was, I cannot be a mom on my own. There's just no ways. And so even my wanting to get married was more from the point of, I actually can't do this by myself. And so if I get married, then at least I have someone helping me. So obviously that's not the foundation for a marriage. And so we were only married for 4.5 years. And then I became a single mom when my youngest was 3 months old. So I think it was very, very difficult.
Did you get divorced then?
Long story short, he ended up divorcing me, and I've never remarried again. So basically, I've been a single mom since, for 24 years.
Sure. So, I mean, just saying that there is no manual, how did you survive the actual, so once you were after the marriage, how did you survive? Because many people struggle and don't end up like you ladies.
Yeah, geez. I mean, I think back to those times, and for me, I just felt I was thrust into absolute survival mode. My whole life got turned upside down. And so there was a lot of chaos, there was a lot of disorder. And so for me, I retreated back to that place of how do I just survive today? I think the biggest struggle for me in that time was the weight of that responsibility that now was completely on my shoulders. And I think carrying that weight is incredibly difficult. It's crushing, and it's not the Lord's design that one person carries that weight. And so for me, it was that thought of how do I get through not just surviving, but actually thriving. And that's where it came into family and into church. And I couldn't articulate my needs because I myself didn't know what my needs were. All I knew was that I can't do this by myself. And if I carry on with the crushing weight of this responsibility, I just couldn't do it. And so for me, what I was trying to articulate through those times was I just needed someone not to take the responsibility from me because it's my responsibility, but to help me carry that responsibility. And so I got into church. Obviously, my family they all love the Lord, so I really gravitated towards my family help, but more from that they couldn't take the responsibility, but they could help me process things, that they practically could come alongside. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that scripture. Oh, Brett, you might have to help me where it is, but almost that sense of carry one another's burdens, but each one has their load to carry.
That's in a sense, Galatians 6:1-5.
Yeah.
Wow. That was fast. Well played.
I preached a message a couple of months on it.
Well done, right? Jules, and for you, can you relate to what Nats was saying, even going more practical? What was that weight of responsibility?
I think in the beginning, I was a Christian, but wasn't really part of a family, wasn't part of a church family. And I think I relied quite heavily on my parents. My mom, my dad really stepped in and were just incredible. They helped me so much. And I think what's really hard is at the time when you go through a divorce, it's not, you're in such turmoil yourself. Like, how do you keep loving this child? How do you keep bringing them through? And you can't do it alone. I needed my parents. I needed them to, I would sometimes just say, can I come sleep over at your house? Just because I didn't want to sleep alone. I just needed someone else to say, here, Aiden, here's a meal for you or whatever. And I think they were key for me in that time. And then I moved to, I was living in Johannesburg. I moved to Port Elizabeth. My brother was actually studying there, and he became quite he's 8 years younger than I am, but he became quite a big figure in Aiden's life. I worked, and he would have him Saturdays and take him to the beach, and he was also such an incredible help, so practically. And then when Aiden was about 4 years old, so just a few months after I moved to Cape Town, my mom and dad took me off to church, and they came to visit, and they took me to a New Covenant church called the Storehouse in PE, and met a whole bunch of people. And about 3 weeks later, I was in the supermarket, and a lady came up to me and she said, my name's Deirdre, and I met you at church the other day, and do you live close by? And I said, yes. And she said, would you like to come to my house for dinner? And it's just my husband and I. And I was like, okay. And they became such a huge influence on me. I'd never seen Christianity lived out in a practical way. And the first time I went to their house for dinner, Gary had pitched a tent in the garden, a small tent, and had put all these yummy little eats and everything in the tent, and he was gonna entertain Aiden. He was gonna do something with him. And it was the first time that a stranger had picked up that from me, and I was kind of I was out of my depth. I was like, who are these people? Like, you vacillate between, is this weird? Or is this normal? Or is this, And that was my first intro, like into actually a practical thing of somebody like coming alongside. And it didn't feel like effort to them. It felt like this is what they naturally do. And I visited eventually went to their home group, and it was a whole bunch of like younger people, and they said that, but out of school, like just out of school. And I was young. I was only like 26 years old. And
you still look 26.
I think that for me, I think that thanks.
It's the hair,
and it's not from like no stress in my life. Believe me.
Sorry, Jules.
No, but I think like what Nats is saying. I think one of the hardest things, and maybe it's going a little bit off, but is that thing of like you don't really fit in somewhere. Yeah. Like you're not single anymore, because you married, you were single, now you're married and you're divorced, but now you're single again, but you have a child. So it's like you don't fit into a. There's no place for you, and so you feel like if I'm with married people, and are you a spare wheel? If you're with singles, they don't really understand what you've been through, and now you also have a child. And I think being with this bunch of like older adults, like younger adults, but they were in varsity and things. They kind of just became like an uncle figure to Aiden, and that was so useful for me in that time. I think it's what I needed at the time was that.
It's interesting that both you say how important role the church played, bringing Brett into the discussion.
Yeah.
One of the scriptures that comes to mind is that God places the lonely into families. And I see this as quite an important role. Are we going to talk about our JoshGen context? How do you make that happen? Because you need to have, as an elder, some of the understanding what the ladies are talking about in order to minister to meet needs.
That's a good question. I think, can I ask another question on your question? So, like looking at it from a church perspective, what can congregations do to get to the place that you experienced that in that comm group? Like, because sometimes it's awkward from the church perspective too, because maybe they feel, like there's a disconnect, or they're not quite sure what to say, or they're going to hurt your feelings. So from your perspective, like from a church perspective, well, what can we do to draw you in? I know putting out the tent was one thing, but like in this day and age, is it suppers? Is it just giving you time? Is it not treating you any differently? How do we make you feel welcome as a congregation?
You dodged that bullet
I did.
so well.
So good,
We're
man.
circling back to that question.
And I'll answer you after that, because I think that is the key. Because I've known these ladies for a long time. I mean, Natalie's part of our family. Jules has been like
a mother to you,
like a mom, and a solid rock. They're both amazing ladies, and I've seen them overcome and be so brave over the years, even though there was a lack. But now looking back, we can maybe help the listeners that are listening now go, okay, if we can just maybe change our mentality or the way we look at single moms, or how, I don't know if that makes any sense. So I did dodge, but it's for a reason.
So I think a key for me has always been family. Like that has been the biggest key for me, to feel like I was in a family.
So people including you in their family.
In their family.
Because the reality is both of you had natural families.
Yes.
But some single mums don't even have the benefit of a natural family, and church family is literally all they have.
And in PE, I only had my brother who was studying. My parents weren't living in PE at the time. And I think just had that thing of people inviting us around. Aiden was, he wanted to play soccer, and I didn't know where to go. And one of the couples in the church said, their boys play soccer. And then I was like, I had to ask those hard questions, like, could Aiden go with you guys? Like, and they were like, of course, like, yes. And so I'd go to their house, we would have dinner, or he would take the boys to soccer. I would chill out with a friend, and then the boys would come home, we'd eat together, and I'd go home. And
there's an element of vulnerability. You had to do the ask.
I had to reach out. I mean, you feel like you don't want to reach out because you feel like, am I going to be imposing? This is like, they've already got their little family structure. If I come in, what's that going to look like?
But that's not true only for single mums. I mean, it's important for but I think that is how we build family. And that's what you say. It is a two-way street. I mean, it is you as a person who has the need for connection, reaching out, but then it is also other people recognizing, being aware of, building that bridge of relationship? Or where do you think the onus, the responsibility ultimately falls?
I think it's on both. I mean, I think when I first came into JoshGen, I think I really had to pursue this thing of being included and coming alongside. I think so often people don't know how to respond to single moms. They're looking at what you're going through, and it's so overwhelming for them that they actually don't know how they can reach you in the place where they're able to help you. And so for me, initially, to kind of get in, if I want to put it that way, into this people seeing me, if you want to put it that way, and seeing, okay, there is a need, was because I worked full time, and so during the week was very, very difficult. So if people almost invite you during the week, for me, it was that thing of time is so precious that I have with the kids. And so to get invited out sometimes isn't always the best thing, because sometimes the moms, anyway, sorry, I'm going off. But I think for me initially, one of the things was youth was very, very important for my kids to get knitted into good, healthy friendships. And the youth leaders at that stage were quite equipped on almost to be the big brothers for the girls, because they didn't have that. And so youth was a non-negotiable, and that was sometimes difficult. And I know a lot of the moms often say, but it's difficult, if I've got the little one that's at home sleeping, and then I've got to take the other child to youth, and then I've got to fetch them. So it becomes quite impractical, so then they don't do that. But I always encourage them. The youth played such an important role for Rachel and Leah, because there was this element of, there was brothers, and it was a safe space where they could, interact with the brothers and all of that. So that was difficult, but it came at a cost, and it wasn't easy. It meant sitting in my car. They would go inside, and we were living at Melkbos at that stage. So obviously financially it was difficult to drive all the way back to Melkbos and then come again. So then I would just sit in the car, but it was a priority that my girls got exposed to that. And so sit in the car, they would go to youth, and then afterwards we would come back. So that was kind of my responsibility, in the sense of was pursuing the sense of family. I think that for me, my biggest value, or what I was hoping for that people could reach me, was just to bring me into your family. And like I often think of when the Lord says he adds the lonely into family, when I think of what would I do for my sister, how would I come alongside my sister if she was going through something? And it's that thing of, I would invite her around for meals. I would help her practically where I can. But it's like it's authentic. And I think that's what a single mom really wants. If you're bringing us into family, it's got to be authentic. It's not something that right now I need to have a single, because mom, we can pick up if we're a project, and we're already feeling like a burden. So now if we're getting invited into that space and you are feeling you've got to put this on, then it just makes you feel worse, actually.
Yeah. Julie, I want to ask you, so Natsy's speaking about bringing into family, and by that I suppose she means like where there's a mum and a dad.
Yeah.
How important, how great a need is it for a single mum to have access to like another man, who's not their husband, but in a sense is that connection with a male-like figure?
I think one of the best pieces of advice anybody ever gave me, and that was that I cannot be a mom and a dad. That I can only be a mom. Because you so badly want to fulfill a dad role of some sort to your child, especially a son. I mean, in even more so, I think a girl. But that in the beginning, it was like I was trying to be everything. And then somebody actually took me aside and said, you can't. You just have to be his mom. Just be his mom and reach out for others. And so obviously I had my dad, who was great, and Aiden has learned so much from my dad. And then we had amazing guy friends. Like I remember even back in PE days, there was a drummer, Brett.
Not me, I'm another Brett.
And I remember like him, like I looked across and Aiden would be sitting on his lap, like playing drums.
So cool.
And I can say to him, and what are you going to be when you're big? And I'm going to be a drummer. Like Brett, you know. And then like the guys like Gary Jones who put up the tent for Aiden in the garden, and those kind of guys, and the guys that took him for soccer. And he was very interested in music. So that was really we had a lot of friends who were musicians. And so there would always be that, like, including him, even like at church, like setting up sound, and like he started to feel like he was part of something a little bigger than just that. And then I think moving to PE, moving to Cape Town, I remember Monet, van der Merwe, like a huge role model for Aiden, a massive role model. He passed away a number of years ago, but he was just the most incredible role model. He would be the one that I'd be able to say, Monet, please won't you help me? Like, I'm struggling with Aiden. Can you speak to him, see what he's thinking, see what does he need? Like, because with a mom, in a sense, your children also want to protect you. And I noticed as Aiden got older, he didn't want to burden me. And so I knew there were things that he needed to speak about. I knew there were things. Stuff. I knew there was stuff that he didn't want to speak to his mom about, and then like, but because maybe for him also it was hard to speak to someone else, like for me to almost like go, like, hey guys, please can you? And Brett's played a huge part in Aiden's life. And I think to this day is still playing a part in Aiden's life, still connecting with him. And there's just been this, if I look at his life, I remember being at his 21st birthday, and there was like Stefan and Deb. Stefan got up and shared Dion Delport, who actually even gave him, some good discipline in the day, with Bryce and Keegan. I lived in their home. They played a huge role. Dion married them, actually, married Aiden, actually. And just looking at the role those guys have played and over the years, and realizing I could not have done it, Nadine, without those
Jules,
men.
How important were those male friendships for you?
I think that they were very important for me. They were very, very important for me. I think knowing that Aiden was getting good counsel, that he was having fun with the guys, that they were drawing him in, actually helped me to grow as a person, because it took a burden in a way off me that was they carried for me in certain ways. And so they were super valuable, and I think they still are super valuable today.
Brett, I'm thinking of different scenario, but Pam, who is your mother-in-law, am I getting it right?
Yes. I hope so. I married a daughter.
Mother-in-law.
Yeah, that's awkward.
So I know Pam shared with me when Will passed away, sometimes she would still get invited, or she would get invited to people's homes, but sometimes the husband is there in the beginning and then he disappears, and how she still had a need for, just as a woman, apart from, the children, just as a woman whose husband had passed away, a need for male friendship. And I know that she's your mother-in-law, so you've obviously played that role, but even just as an elder in a life. And how do you see that relationship, say, between elders or just brothers in the Lord coming alongside single moms, single women to see their needs and help them in the Lord grow, mature, look after them, care for them?
I think it's really important. So Pam and I have like a monthly standing lunch, because we're both very busy, that we go to Nando's generally, and we sit for 2 hours and we just catch up and chat and share our hearts together. And it means a lot to me as my mom-in-law, but I think I hope it means a lot to her that we can just continue to build that friendship so she doesn't feel alone in that sense. And I think it's the same for single ladies as well. I think our responsibility is not to treat them any differently to anyone else, and they don't have a disease or anything. It's just they're single moms. And so to be open and honest, and
obviously not meet with them alone.
Don't meet with them alone unless it's your mom-in-law and it's in a public place and it's safe. But often we would have ladies come to our house as well, and I would sit there with Abs and chatting, and even last Sunday we had a single lady came, not a single mom, but it's just a single lady. And I sat there for a long time listening to the chats and just in the background. So I think it is important, but I think not to treat them weirdly or anything. Or I think we can even take a book out of Jesus' life when it comes to our responses as congregations and Christians to single moms. And I think the ladies answered really well, but Jesus only did what the Father told him to do, and he only connected with the people. And so if our responsibility should be, hey, Lord, lead us, and how can we look after the single ladies and maybe even the widows in our lives, that it's not a weird thing. Like, give us insights and discernment on how we can meet their needs.
And ask.
Them. And don't be weird about it.
Brett, you alluded to something, and that is stigma. It's always a problem when people look at the reason why the person is single, or they're a single mom, rather than the person who is the single mom. How have you dealt with, maybe you start with you, Julie, have you dealt with that stigma that people will, it's either very clear or sometimes it's perceived?
I think every form you ever have to fill out asks you if you're married or single or divorced or whatever. I've been single now. I've stopped putting divorced. My ex-husband has passed away, but there is a stigma attached just socially to that. And so when people say, if you say you're divorced, obviously out there people can assume a whole bunch of stuff as to the reason why. And sometimes telling your story is a good thing, like to people, so that they understand why you are. And then I think in the church, I wouldn't say I've felt ousted or like questioned or anything like that. It's been a pretty safe place for me, being divorced, being a divorced woman. And obviously people have lenses that they always see you through, and you can't stop people from seeing you through those places. But I think as I've got to know people, and they've got to know me, there's just been such a sense of acceptance and love, and I would say mine's been positive, actually.
Right.
Nats, how hard or easy is it to ask for help?
So hard.
Why? What makes it hard?
It's so hard I think in one sense, I just know personally, and just for some of the single moms that I've walked with, we tend to just be in just getting through the day. And so that thing to stop and actually acknowledge, what do I need help with? What is things that I can ask for help with, and what are things that I can't? And what I mean by that is that there's things that God does give us a portion of grace. Like there's a special grace that God gives you when you're a single mom. And so there is that beautiful position that you can be in where you actually, it's hard and you need things to be done, but He wants our first response to be to go to Him, because there is grace that He gives us. And so I think it's that tension of, firstly, what do I need help with? And is this something that actually I need to go to the Lord with and I need to receive the grace? Or is it a thing of actually, no, you need to reach out and you need to see the church being family to you? And so I remember a beautiful story of when I moved into my house and the garden was a mess. And I was like, I'm just going to get a gardener in. And then they wanted to do meals for me. And I'm like, I can just order my own meals. I don't actually need a meal. And I remember the Holy Spirit saying to me, yes, you can do it, but I actually want you to reach out, because just because you can doesn't mean that that's what I want from you. So I think it's that tension of finding out, okay, what is it that the Lord wants me to go to Him to, and what are the things that actually it's beneficial for you to ask for help, and then to actually see the church being the church. And
so you as a single mom need to realize that self-sufficiency isn't everything. You need to give the church the opportunities.
Because self-preservation, I mean, every single mom that I've walked with and that I've had relationship, that's what we battle with. We battle with self-preservation. How do we protect ourselves? How do we do this by ourselves? Our tendencies, we can become super independent because we have trusted others in that context, and we've been hurt and we've been let down. And so it's easy for a single mom to fall into self-preservation. I mean, I can speak for myself. It's something that I constantly need to fight against, of this thing of you can do it yourself.
Independence.
Like you said, independence. And that's not what the Lord wants. Like you've said before, He wants us to be family. He wants us to be involved in each other's lives. So you've got to counter that all the time. And I think, Brett, you said it so beautifully. It's that thing of, we need to go to Jesus first. Ultimately, He's our source. And so whatever He's asking us to do, then that's what we do. And if that means reaching out, if that means just because you can, you don't. Yeah.
Julie, speak to us about self-pity.
Oh wow! Just like boom.
Go straight for the jugular.
Can I just give one other really example that I think?
Sorry, you don't have enough time for that one.
See how she dodged that one.
I'm going to go back there. But as Nat was just speaking about things, things like having a car fixed. If you're going to break down with a flat tire, if you like, those are such hard things to do for women. Like they're just hard for us, and just to have like the person to go to and say, hey, I wanted to buy Aiden a car. Like, can you help? Like, this is what my budget is. I don't know what can I even get something that goes for that amount of money, like, and how the guys just helped me. I mean, even now, like I bought a new car a few years back. I went to Cliff Hiscock and said, hey, Cliffy, like, can you find me a car? Because I know he's going to find a car that his daughters would drive that would be reliable. And so for me, on those things, I've really learned that I can do it. I can totally go and do all the research. Even the guys that service my car, they're like, I know they're not going to rip me off. Like, so there is this thing of like these needs that we have.
Yeah. So that actually leads into the question around self-pity, because on the one hand, there is that thing of not going into self-preservation and I'll just do it. But it can also fall to the side of self-pity where don't they have eyes to see that I have a flat tire? Don't they have eyes to see that I need help? Why should I always have to ask? And how do we overcome that thing in our hearts?
That thing of presumption. Like, well, you think people know. And so you kind of go into yourself and you are like, I can't believe that they wouldn't know or they wouldn't see. Don't they understand what I need? Like, and unfortunately, Nadine, if you haven't included families and you haven't included people in your life,
very good.
They're not going to know those things anyway. Yeah. So to start with, you have to have done that, and then have friends call out those things in you. Like I've had good friends over the years that have called out those things, in me. Like when they see me like go down that route of like a little bit of self-pity, or I'm like, you guys just don't understand. And like you're getting, you're spiraling downwards, where they've been able to say, you know what, that's not true. This is a lie.
Let's get back to Bullet. I've been waiting.
You're gunning me the whole podcast. I'm loving what you guys are saying. You guys are doing it so well.
Is the church doing enough? I mean, you've heard some of the responses. Are you guys doing enough to reach out to your especially your single moms who have got unique needs?
It's a hard question to answer because every congregation, especially in JoshGen, could be very different. So I'm assuming a few things. I think some congregations are probably doing better than others. And some, it's just very hard to
So let's say somebody had to come to you, another lead elder, and say, Brett, we've got a bunch of single mums in our congregation. Where do we start? How do we make sure they feel seen, cared for, included? What advice would you give?
I think get them into community groups. I think because that's where like Jules is saying, like we don't know the needs until the needs are made known. Sometimes we can discern it. So I would say plug them into community, into the church, and then what I do as a lead elder is I'll see new guys come in, or I'll see guys struggling. When I'm preaching, I'm actually looking who's here, who's not here, what's happening, why they're looking sad, and so then I try to push people that I think are the best to help or just to come alongside or encourage or anything like that. So I think as congregations, we need to be proactive in knowing our sheep, knowing what their needs are. Sometimes we won't know. And that's where the two come together and we can ask and we can receive. So I think we need to be more vigilant.
So you are intentional with your community leaders, your deacons, to keep an eye out.
I try to be. And like, again, I'm just a human and we make mistakes. But as the team comes together and as people start looking and everybody's looking around, I think then we can really cover all the bases, if that makes sense. And so I think we should be working towards everybody knows everybody. Yeah. Everyone knows where everyone's at. And that takes time. It takes talking through the hard conversations. It takes bumping our heads, going through the trenches together. And that's what I love about JoshGen is we're not afraid of the hard conversations. We're not afraid of overcoming, even if we mess it up or we don't see eye to eye. We've had some amazing times and we've had some really awkward times. And I think it's through those moments where, like I remember Jules came to, I think it was you, it's like, man, you're not doing well as a lead elder at the moment. And I wasn't. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, and she was on a deacon with me too. So it wasn't only single momming. She was a deaconess who was amazing, and I really looked up to her.
And wasn't scared of you.
And she's not scared of me. Which is so I think we got to continually work on, again, following the Lord's lead. Lord, we don't want to lack in anywhere. We don't want anyone to feel left out. And that's what I love about our churches and our congregation. We don't want anyone to be left behind.
Because it's important, because
work.
This podcast, we're speaking to saints in general.
Right.
We're not speaking to single moms.
Right.
And we want them to get to a point where, number one, they feel comfortable, because as both you ladies have said, it's that awkwardness, awkward silence, the inclusivity into families. You know, it has to be natural. And I think being part of community groups and getting to know people before you get them, they come into your homes, it's so important.
And it's relational, because I think so easily something like single moms can become a ministry where we just look after the practical needs, drive the kids around, help them out with food or whatever. But it's much more than that. God's made us beings with spiritual needs, with emotional needs, with practical needs, and it's meeting all those needs in the context of community. Nat?
Yeah, if I can just add on to Brett, what you were saying about almost the role of the lead elder, I think it's to go back to often what I've seen with walking with many single moms is this idea of this almost the expectation that they have on the church. And so when their expectations of how the church needs to almost fulfill this role in their lives, that leads to self-pity, because in their minds, they're coming into the church, well, now the church must fulfill a role of a husband in my life.
Unmet expectations.
And so even with walking with single moms, it's to what are your expectations of the church? And like realizing the lead elder or the elders are not there to fulfill the role of a husband. And so they go, no, but they must be the father. No, there's not their role to be the father. Yes, they reflect the father, but they aren't to come in and be a father to your children. That is your responsibility. And so I think there's a lot of this, almost this unrealistic expectations.
That leads to disappointment when it's not met.
And then they stop asking, and then they stop. And so for me, even as a deaconess within our congregation, something which we've done, which I think is so beautiful, is obviously, you know, we're on the ground, we're with the single moms in the congregation. And one of the things we did to help stop that barrier of even at communities, if you think about it, a community on a Wednesday evening, most of them, their kids, they're getting home from community 9, 10 o'clock at night. It's unrealistic. And then they're sitting with kids that are tired the next day. And so how we came alongside them was we actually said, right, a lot of these single moms, they're actually working flexi hours. So we've actually got a community group on a Friday morning so that the kids can come with, that they can be there. And it's almost that barrier of, no, I can't go to community because it's in the evening. And so then we create spaces for them where they can also come in and they can flourish. But then it's we kind of build that community of there's no barrier for you to come into family. It's not on the elders, it's on actually each one of us playing our part. And so I've seen with walking with single moms, it's this false expectations. And then it leads them to be disappointed and stop asking, and resentment towards the leaders and all of that. So,
but that actually happens not just with single ladies. That happens with families. That happens with single people. That happens for young adults, old people. If we don't have the expectations, and at least be open and honest on, hey, this is what I can give you. We just lost a visitor who was visiting a few times yesterday because you asked me my perspective. I gave it to him. He didn't like it, and I was trying to break down expectations. I was saying things like, I've got a lot of people that I'm responsible for. I can't give you everything that you I want to push other people to you. Things like that, and I think that is something that can really hurt church relationships, because it is about relationships. Yeah, everything's about relationships, actually.
That's important, what Nate said about relationship, because it's out of those relationships that the father figure will come, that the babysitter, all of that comes. And it seems like on every podcast, it's pushing people not only to relationships with each other, but to Jesus. If your relationship with Jesus, your vertical is right, and you sort yourself out. Single moms have unique issues that marrieds and others don't have. But if you don't have that strong relationship with Jesus, you're not going to be the person you should be, and to be able to seek out the needs for your family.
And to take the confidence to communicate. People don't know what they don't know. I mean, I'm not a single mom, but as a single lady, I once communicated that one of the hardest things for me was a time when I used to fly to Joburg a lot. And sometimes I would be there for the earliest flight in the morning and take the last flight out from Joburg. And then just that sense of, now I'm having to drive from the airport to my home alone, 11 o'clock at night or whatever. And unless I'd communicated that, people wouldn't know. So we had some of the family saying, no, you'll never do that again as a single lady. We're going to come fetch you and whatever. But people don't know what they don't know because they haven't walked in your shoes. But it's so important to communicate.
Very good.
And it allows, I mean, I've been a father to a number of young guys where there's been need, haven't had fathers. But it puts us in a position. Any single lady in our congregation, you just say trouble to me. I'm there with the forces. That's who I am. That's how I respond. And you need to, by allowing people to meet that need, there are different needs for different people. And if you communicate that and you allow people, you're vulnerable, allow people into your lives. There's so many of us who just want to, I'll do that for my daughter or my wife. So I'm going to do it for anyone else as well. That's part of who I am. But giving people within the church set up the opportunity to do these. Maybe that's a message to our single moms listening in. Give us guys or people those opportunities to help you.
Because there's different, there's different, obviously, like we've been through different ages. Our children are grown up now. And so a lot of our responsibilities, like it's their responsibility to live their lives now. And we obviously will always be moms to them in that respect. But I think different ages, if I look at the needs when Aiden was little compared to when he was like, 10 or 11, but then when he was like different 15 needs. Or 16, and then when he was 20, even like they're still your children, and I think it's the same for any family, even if it's a whole family, there's these different stages, and to actually that communication thing, Nadine, where people are, where you ask people, like even for the elders and for the leaders, the deacons, the home group leaders, don't be presumptuous about where somebody's at. You think, maybe their financial needs, but maybe that's the least of their problems. Like even if there are financial needs, maybe that's the least of their problem. Maybe their biggest problem is that they are exhausted.
Or they feel lonely.
And they just want they want you to invite them just to come and sit around a table and eat a meal a week or once a month with them, so that your children are sitting at a table with other children. My child didn't have a sibling, like even to help them learn how to do that, how to be in a family where there's where there's different ages and things like that. We actually just speak to each other and ask what the needs are, and then that realistic expectation. We can't be this and this to you, but we can be this and this to you.
Yeah, so good.
Can I say this too for the single moms listening? There's an encouragement. What I've taken from you ladies over the years, and I've known you guys for a long time, is you've never used your single momhood as an excuse not to serve the Lord, not to fight for your relationships with Him and others, you're both very successful in what God's called you to be. And I really do see the age that we're living in is a lot of people see themselves as victims. And I really want to commend you guys on is I've never felt that you've gone, I'm using my single momhood to turn my back on what God has called me. And so for those single moms listening, I want to encourage you don't use it as an excuse or singleness or whatever you.
Absolutely.
I don't want to use we can't make excuses for what God has done.
Yeah, circumstance is not a surprise to God.
Yes.
And like Nat said, He gives the grace that comes with that to give ourselves to serve.
And they've shone Jesus to my life over and over and over and over again. And I really want to commend you ladies for that.
It's important you mentioned grace. Someone said to me many years ago, the lady was widowed and her friend came to and was so sad and had so much pity for her. And she said, don't pity me. God's given me the grace ticket, not you.
Very good.
So I don't think single moms want to be pitied and felt sorry for. They just want to be normal and supported.
Just as a single mom, and that's why I don't understand. I battle to understand this thing of a victim, because if I think back over the years of actually, it's been the most beautiful journey on actually having that revelation that he is my husband.
Sure.
And how it's been the most beautiful journey of actually having to find him as my husband, as my provider, as my protector, and just walking this journey with him. And just, it's so real to me that's why when it said about the single moms, it was like I had to go back and think about, because I'm so used to being like, he is my husband. And actually, yes, physically I'm a single mom, but spiritually he's so involved in every part of my life that I feel that he's with me all the time. He comes alongside and he makes decisions, whether it's him speaking to me about those decisions or he's saying, go and speak to this elder or go and speak to this person for their wisdom or for their guidance, or you
go to him first.
I go to him first, and I'll never forget. It was the most beautiful thing. I was in a meeting with church, and I remember I could never understand why the husbands would stay at home and then just the moms would come. I remember the kids being sick, and we would be, even if I was sick in that baby room, I was at church because it was such a priority for me to be there. And you position yourself to be encouraged by the bride, and you position yourself to be prayed for, or all those things. Anyway, and so I was in the service, and I was really battling with this concept of having to do all these things and having all these needs. And I remember it was when Andrew was still with us all the time, and I remember he didn't stop a meeting, but he called me out and he said, Jesus is saying to you, Natalie, am I not enough for you? Oh. And I remember that impacted me so much, because in that moment I felt the Lord give me that revelation, Natalie, I am your source. It's only me. And so in everything that you need in this journey that you're on, you will find it in me. And sometimes, that is reaching out to other people, but he never lacks. He's all sufficient. And so I think, for me, this journey of being that he is my husband, and it's been a privilege to see him that way. So
and your children are products of that, because if you look at how they serve the Lord, they could be like, you always see, the product of a broken home, the rebellious children or the whatever. And if you look at our children, I mean, they've all been through hard stuff. I think there's been times when we've had hard conversations, Aiden and I, as he's grown older, and where he said, Mom, there was a part of my life that was really, really hard. I had resentment towards you because you were a single mom. What did you do? That, those kind of things. We, as an adult, we've been able to have these conversations. And even I was sitting the other day and I was listening to a little podcast on something, and the guy was talking about harsh words, and I. As I'm listening, I felt the Lord say, you used harsh words with Aiden when he was younger, and it was out of a place of frustration and whatever that place was, and you need to actually repent to him. And he's 37 years old, and I could send him a note and say, hey, my boy, when you were younger, I think that I used harsh words sometimes towards you, and please forgive me for that. I'm so sorry. You try and do the very best that you can. That's what you're trying to do, and you are going to make mistakes. But we've brought our children up that they have to rely on the Lord. They're going to have wounds. They're going to have father wounds or whatever. They're going to have those wounds. They're going to have the mother wounds. But at the end of the day, they've seen us serve the Lord faithfully. I remember Aiden saying a friend of his wanted to do something naughty with them. They wanted to go and do something naughty one day, go and spray paint walls or something. And I remember Aiden saying to his buddy, Boo, we can't do that. My mom has God. And I thought, how does the Lord actually give us those things? He knew. Oh boy, he can't do anything. The Lord's going to show me for his protection, that he can't do it. And so the product of that is that our children actually serve the Lord, which is incredible. It's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brett, we're going to conclude with you.
Oh no.
What encouragement would you give to the body, to members in our churches this week, to recognize, to come alongside, to support? One thing that they can maybe do to support our single mums.
I think prayer is so important to find God's heart for every person, and especially to maybe break the barriers one to another on the needs, because you ladies have been very courageous all these years and stuff. So maybe just pray more, spend some more time with the Lord, ask Him to.
And the Lord will lead you in how to
and
meet
He'll
the
lead
needs.
you. And I think it is that connection with Him. Love the Lord your God with all your heart first. And then that's the greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love one another. And I think life is very busy, very pressurized, very stressed. And I think we're not praying enough for each other and for the Lord. So I would encourage the church out there to do that.
I keep thinking of, we have this little mantra in JoshGen, make this circle bigger.
Yeah,
What do I want to say? Make the tent bigger. Make the tent bigger. Include the single mums, their children.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
Been amazing.
On that note, the prayer note, Jules, won't you, with a single mom in mind, pray for her? You guys just seem such success stories. I mean, I'm absolutely amazed, but not everyone's in that position.
Yeah.
If you could just give some encouragement through prayer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Lord, we just want to thank you, Lord, that you are so in control of our lives, Lord. And I want to pray for all those moms out there that are just find themselves alone in essence. Lord, that you would be everything that they need, Lord, that they would run to you with everything, with every need, with every desire, with every problem, that there would just be such a running to Jesus and knowing that you are the author and the perfecter, that you are the one that will be able to give them wisdom, that would give them guidance, that would be their comforter, that would be their Emmanuel, their God with them. Lord, that there would be such a sense of not lack, but actually a sense of treasure because they know you. So, Lord, I want to pray for them that they would run to you first, Lord, that we would keep running and that you would keep meeting us at every single place that we need to be met, and that we would throw ourselves on you, that we would rely completely on you. And that we would be more vulnerable with each other, with the body, so that actually the whole body can come together and operate and function as it should. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
That's it then for this edition of the Dying to Live podcast. Tune in again every week at www.joshgen.co.za/dying to live. We're also on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other podcast sites. So wherever you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe, leave comments, and click on the like button. Till next time then, from the team, it's goodbye and God bless.